'Tis the season for another Dave Day with Dave Seaman, the Standard Speaker sports editor here on Community NEPA News. Dave, you guys are working on your winter sports previews at the Hazelton Standard Speaker. You can read them all this week. There were some last week as well. I read the piece on the Hazelton Area High School boys basketball team. One of the key pieces for them this year is going to be Demir Faison. And Dave, one of the things we get to do, and it's a pleasure, is get to know some of these players, outstanding people. Demir last year helped out with Cougars dunk depression, wasn't able to play in the actual game, the charity game, but helped organize it. And he was recently at an event with the special needs kids in the Hazelton Area School District. They made some ornaments. Demir was there with one of his other fellow basketball players, Andrew Vida, and they talked about the event.
Today I met a kid, and he really loves sports, so I told him that it was a fact that I would get him one of my practice jerseys from a past year, and I'm going to make sure I do that this year.
That is so nice. So you're like role models to a lot of these kids because they want to be the big star basketball player like you are.
Yeah. It's like some of them won't get the chance to, and a lot of us don't really think about it that way. Like we take a lot of things for granted, and being here sometimes it opens your eyes.
I just think it's a great thing for us to come out here. Just like all these kids, like he said, look up to us in the community and in sports. So we're just trying to help any way we can.
You can watch that full story on SSP TV News all this week. It's our in-depth community feature with Lisa Sugar. Another big storyline, the college football playoff. It's out and we know who's in. It will be Oklahoma, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Clemson. Bama getting the #1 spot. John Eric Polai came in here this morning very happy his Fighting Irish got in, but then immediately was talking about what he thought was disrespect. I'm talking about it on the show on ESPN, them saying, predicting they would lose to the two teams who were left out. I don't understand that. I could see Notre Dame people saying, hey, we don't think they're going to win the national title this year, but I think Notre Dame's a much better team. I shouldn't say much better, but a better team than Oklahoma and Ohio State from what I've seen.
Yeah, you watch Notre Dame all throughout the season. We talked about their defense is, one of the top 5 in the country, in my opinion. They've played well from the beginning to end. Their offense certainly has the ingredients to be special on any given day. They've proven that time and again this season. There are some games that they struggle, but every team struggles. They go through moments like that.
Dave, is it okay that for years we have just said, oh, that's college football? Because I even noticed it on ESPN and that people are like, oh, this is why we like the sport. This is why we enjoy it. And I do. It's my favorite sport, college football, maybe up there with soccer. But is it fair to say that in crowning a champion, you just go, oh, that's college football?
Yeah, it's college football, but it's always the same teams, really. I mean, we're talking about the same teams basically every year fighting for those same playoff spots. You've had Alabama, Clemson, Oklahoma's been there now a few years. Ohio State's been in the mix, at least in the conversation the last few years. You don't have many teams breaking into that top 4, and until you do, you're going to have the haves, the Alabamas every year, the Clemsons, and the teams that are just trying to, make a name for themselves and get the opportunity on any given day, like a Notre Dame this year. Notre Dame puts 2 good games together, play like they've played all year, they're going to have a chance.
So you think if they expand it to 8, a team like UCF who creeps in might be able to upset somebody? It kind of upsets the balance. You'll have more teams maybe getting better recruits at that higher level. It'll be more competitive.
Well, I think, if you had 8 teams, at least you'd have all the conference champions, and then you'd have an opportunity for a team like a UCF to get in there, and then let's see what happens. Right now you have teams that are trying to get in, but they're never going to have a chance. The Pac-12 champion this year, Washington had 3 losses this year. Were they a better team this year than last year? Probably not. But would you like to see them have a chance? I mean, Washington has a tradition as well to play against an Alabama or a Clemson, or Ohio State matched up against Notre Dame in the semifinals, or LSU too, as for that matter. There are a lot of interesting, good teams in college football. There's only a few elite ones.
Dave, and when I was thinking about this and going back to me saying it's a square peg in a round hole, I thought, okay, well, what if you went back to having 11 games during the regular season, then you had that conference championship, that would be number 12 for people. And I thought, well, colleges aren't going to want to lose the money of that extra home game during the year, and plus television deal. So there's all these issues, and that's why I say I don't think we're ever going to get somewhere where everyone's happy. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's talk about Penn State. They're in Orlando. Are Penn State fans happy going to the Citrus Bowl and not making the New Year's Six?
Yeah, when you look at the 3 losses, it wasn't going to get them in a New Year's Six Bowl. I mean, did they deserve to be in the New York Six Bowl? No, not this season. You have 3 losses. Granted, 2 of them were, by a point to Ohio State, and gut-wrenching loss to Michigan State in back-to-back games. That's 2 games. That's putting you behind the 8 ball, and then you had to win every game if you wanted to get into the New Year's Six Bowl. And unfortunately, they went to Michigan this year. Michigan was a lot better this year than Penn State. And, Lions are ending up, I think, where, it's still a good bowl, the Citrus Bowl. And it's, in years past, you had a Citrus Bowl, and it was like a springboard to future success. It's not indicative of, a program in decline or whatever. It just happens. Sometimes you lose games, and, you use this month now to prepare, and the best you can. You get your young players ready, and then hopefully have a strong performance on January 1st, and let that be your springboard to future success.
Definitely could be a springboard for this younger Nittany Lion team. We'll break down that matchup and also Notre Dame's matchup coming up in the weeks ahead here on Dave Day. Make sure you're reading the Standard Speaker for your winter sports previews, and then all those game stories and feature stories once winter sports commence.